She has to be the centre of attention. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. You see in front of you two bananas. Might they be bananas of authenticity? Quite possibly. But we know somebody who isn't authentic, and that's Harry's wife. Have a good look at the thumbnail that accompanied this video. You'll see that it's taken at the Invictus Games, which is increasingly becoming Harry's wife's game. And you'll see something within that photograph, which is something that you see frequently with Harry's wife. The Invictus Games is providing us with some choice examples of explaining how Harry's wife behaves. Yesterday, I uploaded 3 videos, and I just provided you with the footage to enable you to see what was going on. The first video was a short, and was only about 6 or 7 seconds in length, where Harry was being interviewed, and we saw Harry's wife with that clenched, jutting jaw as a consequence of being wounded. There are those that have suggested that this might have been the reaction of clenching as a consequence of having taken cocaine. That's a possibility, of course, and narcissists are often drug users. But absent any evidence to support that being the case, it is actually demonstrative of her response to being wounded, and I will be going into detail about that in a forthcoming video once my working arrangements have altered. The second video showed Harry's wife in the crowd attempting to sing along to Sweet Caroline, and once again was roundly ignored, but attempted to deal with that wounding by making herself look preposterous. Again, I'll be examining that in greater detail. The third video provided us with a raft of aspects of the narcissistic dynamic. It showed her attempts to assert control over Harry through physical assertion of control. It demonstrated her ridiculousness with some kind of strange run-walk as she headed off the court. It was also noteworthy that most of the arena was empty, which shows that she and Harry are not quite the draw that they thought that they would be. It then also provides you with an excellent opportunity to see the impact of fuel upon a narcissist when she meets a gaggle of young ladies who are patently members of the Sussex squad and provide her with a dollop of tertiary source fuel. The amount would be large because it's in person, and there were numerous of them. The potency would be weak because she doesn't know them and their tertiary sources, but that would be overcome as a consequence of their number and the fact that it was in person. So what they said to her, the tone of what they said, their body language towards her, their facial expressions, the look in their eyes, there were various strands of fuel that came towards her. You also see a fascinating response from her upon the receipt of that fuel, particularly bearing in mind the challenging times that she's experienced recently. Again, I'm going to dissect that in greater detail when I'm able to put the video alongside what I'm talking about. But for now, we're going to focus on the fact that she needs to be the centre of attention. Why is this? Well, it relates to the necessity of control. With the narcissist having been forged in the fires of the genetic predisposition towards narcissism allied with an absence of control, a lack of control environment, the narcissist becomes hypervigilant to threats to control. And that means that the narcissist invariably needs to make themselves the centre of attention. By being the centre of attention, this signals to them that people are under control because they're talking to them, watching them, listening to what the narcissist is saying, and they're also providing fuel to the narcissist. I directed you to the thumbnail that accompanied this video, which you'll see Harry's wife is sat in a crowd. You'll notice the expression of Harry and the other gentlemen, somewhat pensive as they're watching the event unfold, but contrast that with Madam's facial expression. She sat there looking smug, delighted. Why? Because she knows she's being photographed. It's akin to that photograph that was taken in the back of the taxi when the near catastrophic car chase that didn't happen. There, Doria's staring at her phone, Harry looks anxious and pensive, whereas she is sat there, cat that got the cream, delighting in all the fuel that she's receiving, subconsciously of course, and recognising that she has achieved what she wanted to achieve, attention. Similarly, in this photograph, her response doesn't match that of everybody else around her. The rest of the crowd look pensive, slightly anxious. They're invested in what's going on. She's not. She's not interested in the event. It's about other people, and it ought to be about her. She's far more important. She is the star of the show, remember. These are just the little people. But she has organised that a photograph be taken of her. And that photograph captures the rest of the crowd behaving naturally with regard to the event in front of them, but Harry's wife can't help herself but look pleased with herself, the narcissist smirk emerging, because she knows she's being photographed and she gains the thought fuel from considering the reactions and responses to that photograph being beamed around the world. Thus, rather than focus and engage on what's going on in front of her, the event, rather than fit in through her narcissism causing her to look in a similar way to the rest of the crowd, she goes off on a frolic of her own. She feels the fuel and thus feels smug. She feels empowered, and we get this smug smirk that appears, causing an incongruous response compared to everybody else. It's utterly obvious. However, so many people will miss it. But once you understand that she is a narcissist, and through my excellent work you understand why she behaves in the way that she does, it becomes all too clear with regard to her thirst to be the centre of attention. This particular picture, which has formed the thumbnail, encapsulates that need. And it shows that when she's the centre of attention, what else is going on around her becomes relegated to insignificance. She believes she's the star of the show. She believes that she's the main character. There is almost a soundtrack playing in her head, a dramatic soundtrack to whatever she's doing. When she's walking into the kitchen, Harry's wife entered the kitchen. When she walks out of the door, Harry's wife entered the garden. Whatever form it takes, there's a soundtrack playing in her head, making her the most important person there. But to the trained eye, one is able to see the way that she reacts and responds, and it demonstrates how she doesn't give a rat's ass about these athletes, because it has to be about her. We've seen this through the fact that she turns up late and announces her arrival, the fact that she bores everybody by explaining she had to settle the kids and organise milkshakes. Who gives a fuck? It's demonstrated by the repeated outfit changes. It's demonstrated by the repeated ridiculous actions in the crowd. And it's shown once again here, where she cannot be invested in these athletes because she must make it about her, because she must be the centre of attention. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.